Okay, so second beekeeping video of the season. At this point, we're sitting on mid-May, and we've had 2 days of cool, wet weather, and hoping we'll turn the corner starting tomorrow for a nice long spell of dry, warm weather. And in the last video, I actually, when we hived the bees, I made the decision to make the top super essentially the brood super, and the lower mostly empty. And so since then, the bees have been really busy building out the comb further. You can see there's a strong population here in the upper super, and probably I'd say 3/4 of the supers are built now, or excuse me, the frames are built with honeycomb. I don't know how much brood or nectar is in there yet, but if you look in the bottom, there's almost no activity in terms of construction. So there's one comb there that we had put in the last season. So my plan is to basically just do a quick hive operation where I swap these, because the prevailing view and prevailing wisdom is that your brood box should be on the very bottom of your hive, and anything above should be for honey storage and possibly brood. So we're going to swap these with in the anticipation that the bees will be okay with that, and that they'll continue to make their brood activity here, but then they'll hopefully be more inclined to start storing honey above as the nectar flow really comes on here in Oregon. And then in time, as the season progresses, if they fill both with brood and honey, we'll do a third super on top. But what we'll do is we'll put a small queen excluder on top, so that essentially the queen can only get into these two supers, and only the workers can get to the uppermost super. So the idea being then there will never be any brood up there. It'll just be honey that we can use for ourselves, or if we feel like they need it, we'll leave that for them to make it through the winter. I also tweaked this lower panel a little bit with just a piece of plexiglass with white sheeting on the back so I can see. So every other day I'll come and I'll inspect sort of what's been dropped into the bottom of the hive. And now it's mostly bits of pollen, and so things look healthy. I think I see a mite here. This is something I'm probably going to want to keep an eye on. These little guys are varroa mites. I don't know if that's in view, but that's definitely something that if that becomes really common, I'll need to do something to treat that. Normally they're able to keep those sorts of pests at bay, but I think that they got majorly infested last summer, or last fall, with that. So keep an eye on that. And so now I don't think I'm going to be using a smoky here today. This doesn't feel like what I'm doing is that invasive. So hopefully I don't regret that decision. But I'm going to go ahead and pull the roof off. Another thing that I have done more recently is, let me double check here, you can get a view. Okay, is I got my planer out and I planed a bunch more cedar for the bees, because I realized that Roxel insulation was actually inhibiting, a good amount of moisture release. So this stuff I'm going to probably just try to keep an eye on. If it feels like it gets too moist, I'll just put fresh shavings in. This is what the hive originally came with, and I think there was a fair amount of wisdom to that approach. So now I'm just simply going to pop the gloves on and the veil. Hopefully we'll do a switcherooski here, and there won't really be too much drama, and everybody will just go about their day. Okay, good. Okay. Just a very gentle twist and spin. You should be good. Just basically looking to pry all four corners so that I don't have anything go flying at the last second. All right. Okay. This is going to be it. The last time I was here, I think this is, the other thing that's still, but basically, here we go. Oh, okay. And there they are. A lot of bees. Okay, looks like the The cake here has been almost fully consumed. If we go up nice and close, you'll see there's a fair amount of bees there. I don't think I see the queen, but they've eaten almost that entire pollen cake, which is a good sign. And it looks like, yeah, they are happily going about their business there. That's a good sign for starters. And we'll leave it at that for a sec. And then we'll go ahead and take this guy. Let's put it over here. I'm going to go ahead and just sweep this excess stuff out. Looks like there's a bit of a potential for moisture to be gathering here. I still don't understand why that is, but it is what it is. Now we're going to pop a larger super right down there, just like so. Okay. And our final step, I think, here now is going to be just reposition this so you guys can see a little better, I think. This will get a better view overall. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Alright, so now all we really need to do is come over here. I'm just going to do a little operation on this. It looks like a bit of mold had developed possibly on this, the last remnant of this pollen cake, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. I know they probably don't like that. It just feels like they've had enough with the pollen cake, because there's plenty of other pollen out there in the wider world now. I don't think they need that. So now our final step is to do a transfer of now the top box. So bottom now is on, top is now on bottom, which is great. That's where the majority of the colony is right now. And so what I want to do now is simply remove this guy. And you can see there's a tiny little hole there. A few bees on the bottom. Nothing to get fussed about. So we'll go ahead and just sweep them off. And this is where we're probably going to encounter the most bees as we peel this layer. We may actually, if we're lucky, get a view of the queen as we do this. Time will tell. Let's see how we're looking here. Definitely a lot of bees here. Just going to take it slow. Try to just give them a little brush as we go. Just really pulling this gently, right? Pulling this very gently off. Lots of bees here. No sign of the queen just yet. Okay. Now with that out of the way, just going to inspect this for a bit. Okay, so now we're going to go on the new box very slowly. I hope that we can just very gently do this. Basically just nudging them out of the way. Sounds like I might have crunched one. That just is nature of the game. And now we're going to go on with our top piece here. This is the final challenge. We want to get them to just settle down and in. I don't know if they're going to be inclined to do that. So that's where I just want to sort of nudge them down, sweep them off, and just encourage them to go find a happy place. I want to minimize the number of bees that I crush here, just on balance. You don't want to. You want to minimize the number of bees you kill when you're beekeeping. This is a good, sound concept, right? It is indeed. I'm going to go ahead and just sweep them out. Come on, girls. Stop doing that. I just need to close you up. I'm sorry. Alright, I'm probably going to lose a couple through that operation, but there's no real way around that. I don't think. Come on, girl. Okay, out of there. Great. So that pretty much does it. We have now successfully swapped the top to the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and pop our lid back on. Okay, there we go. All the bees now are probably in a state of like, what in the world is going on here? Why did you just do that? So now, if we jump back in here, I'm just going to leave the remaining pollen padding underneath the hive, so if any of the bees feel like it, they can feed on that. And I didn't get a single sting, which is great. What we should see now is a lot of activity down low. That's great, they're there. That's our main cluster. They seem reasonably content. They weren't too bothered by that incursion. And now that they are in that situation, I think, let's see what we got here now. Yeah, that positions, I think, us to actually see the top of the colony a little bit better.